Well, hello everyone, my name is Wego and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be doing something similar to what we did a couple of weeks ago. We're going to be taking one of the weakest bugs and crush a Pokemon game with it. Last time we did Emerald with a Wurmple, but today we're taking it to the next level. We're going to go with a Caterpie and we're going to be destroying Pokemon Fire Red. With a whopping base stat total of 195, there is no way our Caterpie will fall to anything. And to be honest, it has a 45 speed stat, which is not even that low. But what's even better? His special attack stat, which we can't even use because look at Caterpie's moveset. It only has one available attacking move, and that is Tackle. Of course, there is also the move Struggle, which has a little bit more base power but does give us recoil, but we're going to be utilizing that as well. But Caterpie does also have the ability Shield Dust, which means that we are protected from added effects from moves like with Rock Tomb and lowering speed. The rules will be the same as in the Wurmple video. I am only allowed to use Caterpie in battle. I won't be able to use any items in battle unless there is a point where Caterpie can get past. Then I of course will have to use items. And of course a Hechem Pokemon will be allowed, otherwise we're not gonna get really far. Once again, let me know in the comments down below where you think Caterpie will fall and will have to use items. Will it be the Blaine fight or might it be even quicker? And with that out of the way, let's just jump right into it. I start off the game by naming myself Cry Time because I'm gonna be crying a lot in this challenge. I then go to the professor's lab and pick up my Caterpie and I name him Stigbug because you just got Stigbugged. We then face our rival for the first time and he absolutely destroyed my Caterpie. I mean, it makes sense because he does have a Charmander, and I probably would have been better off giving him a Squirtle or a Bulbasaur. But we're not trying to make it easy on ourselves. We deliver Oak's package without any problems except for losing to a couple of Pidgeys. And I start grinding up my Caterpie against Mankeys because Mankeys give me attack EVs, which is exactly what my Caterpie is going to need if it wants to take on every single opponent. I also made sure Caterpie had the adamant nature so that he would be able to wreck more Pokemon. And at level 13, I decided to take on my first real battle. He has a Pidgey and a Charmander, which normally should be able to hit me with flying and fire type moves, which are super effective against me. But none of them even have these kind of moves. So since my Caterpie is a little bit over leveled, I was easily able to overpower the little bird and the little lizard with a bunch of tackles. Then I made my way through Caterpie's family house, which is basically Viridian Forest, and went to the big hard man Brock. I arrived at level 15 and made sure that all of my PP was gone because I wasn't going to tackle his rock types. I was obviously going to use Struggle since it's a neutral move on any type. But at level 15, my Caterpie was just a little bit too weak to take out this Onix. Since it does have Rock Tomb, which is a stab and super effective move on my Caterpie, so I can't really deal with it yet. So I return at level 18, which means that my Caterpie can survive another Rock Tomb. But the thing about Rock Tomb is that it's not very accurate, so the only thing we basically have to do here is just wait until Onix misses enough Rock Tombs so that my little tiny Caterpie can take it out. This was of course no easy feat, and about 1.5 hours of attempts later, my Caterpie finally did it without any more leveling. So with our first gym badge acquired, we can move on to Mount Moon. And while I was in Mount Moon, I got destroyed by another hiker. I'm going to have to watch out for rock types, because they're going to be standing in my way a lot. Thank you, random hiker Marcos. After Mount Moon, we went to the karate guys, and I tried to learn Mega Kick, and for some reason Caterpie can't learn Mega Kick. Like, why? Just look at it. As I then reach Cerulean City, I immediately decide to go to the gym, and I got my ass handed to me by her first Pokemon, Staryu. I couldn't even get to Starmie. So what did I do? I tried the rival fight first, which was not a good idea because now he has a Pidgeotto and a Charmander with Ember. And these two Pokemon absolutely walled my little Caterpillar. So I went to the grass and killed some more Mankeys in order to get more attack EVs. And so our little Caterpillar returned burned at various levels and still got absolutely scorched by embers and blown away by gusts. This one time, he even got destroyed by a tiny little rat. But eventually, Caterpie came out on top by destroying the Pidgeotto with Tackle, critical hitting the Charmander with a Tackle, taking him out in one hit, and then the rest of his team was a piece of cake, even though he only had 1 HP left. After trying to go to Bill and getting stuck on another hiker, I eventually did make my way over to Misty. But at this level, my Caterpie just wasn't strong enough to take on her Starmie. At least not with Tackle, so I went to Diglett's Cave and got rid of all of my PP on Tackle and String Shot again. And after doing this, we went back to the bathing suit lady. Her oversized starfish still destroyed me multiple times with pulses of water. But at level 36, it was no problem since we could one-shot Star you and two-shot Star me. With our second gym badge in hand, we head on over to the SS Anne. And I know we just fought our rival, but he's here again. This time with an even more beefed up team. His Pidgeotto is a little bit higher level, and his Charmander evolved into a Charmeleon, which gives him a huge stat buff. But after only 3 attempts, we were able to beat him as well. Since we were in fact able to two-shot Pidgeotto, Charmeleon, Raticate, and Kadabra without feigning. This just proves that little bugs can actually take a hit. Everyone should now use Caterpie in competitive battling. So let's move on to Lieutenant Surge. He basically has one team member because Voltorb and Pikachu are a piece of cake. The one thing that gives me trouble is Raichu, because he loves to use double team and then paralyze me as well, which means that my moves will almost never connect. And his shockwaves can do major amounts of damage on my little Caterpie. But eventually I was able to beat all of his Pokemon just because I never got paralyzed and the Raichu never used double team, which means that I never missed a tackle. That does mean that we now have 3 gym badges in hand and we can move on over to Rock Tunnel, which was not easy to say the least. But I was prepared since I went in with the move Struggle and not with Tackle to take on all the hikers. And so after a lot of hiking, we eventually do reach the 4th gym, which is Erica. But I basically got walled by her first Pokemon, Victory Bell, because it just loves to use Stun Spore and then just spam Acid in order to take out my Caterpie rather quickly before I can even take it out, since she is going to be using potions as well. And even if I could get past her Tangela and Victory Bell, she still had a Vileplume, which is basically the equivalent of the Victory Bell, so I'm just way too low leveled at this point. So I decided to do some spinning down at the Rocket Hideout. I still don't understand why these criminals have a dancing floor in their basement, but this would be the perfect place for a person like Mirror B. Anyway, let's move on over to the Giovanni battle. He has 2 rock types, but funnily enough, these 2 rock types give me the least amount of trouble. It's the Kangaskhan that hits the hardest. That's because he's using the move Mega Punch, which is a very good stab move for Kangaskhan, but it's not really the most accurate once again, so the only thing we really need to do here is just wait until he misses enough Mega Punches. And that's just exactly what happened. We struggled through Onix, Rhyhorn, and Kangaskhan without much trouble, only leaving us with 8 HP in the end though. But this does give us the Silph Scope, but before we take on Erica, I decided to go to the Fighting Dojo and get some extra experience. All of these buff gym Pokemon couldn't even stand up to a little Caterpillar. So after my Caterpie won here, I knew he was ready to take on Erica. This time my Caterpie managed to one-shot Victory Bell with a critical hit Struggle, and because of that, Tangela was an easy 2-shot as well, and then Vileplume managed to hang on after 2 struggles, Stun Spore me, also heal up, and eventually get me down to 3 HP before my Caterpie pulled off the win. Which gives us our 4th gym badge, so now we head on over to the Spooky Tower. But before we take on all the ghosts, we have to take on the rival again. And his Pidgeotto, Charmeleon, even his bunch of eggs were able to beat my little Caterpillar. And besides that, a big fat water snake also got the better of me a couple of times. Just because Pidgeotto and Charmeleon could do major damage, Execute could put me to sleep, and then Gyarados could finish me off most of the time. But eventually I was able to critical hit the Pidgeotto, then kill the Charmeleon without it hitting me with an Ember because it used Smokescreen, taking out Execute as well because it decided to miss a move, then one-shotting Kadabra and 3-shotting Gyarados while my Caterpie only has 4 HP left. These battles are just a little bit too close to my liking. But after defeating our rival, I picked up the Pokeflute and woke up a Snorlax. After beating up the beefy boy, I decided to pick up the item finder and get myself the leftovers item, which is going to be one of the best held items that my Caterpie can have. And once again, held items are in fact allowed, I'm just not allowed to use any items in battle. After this, I went to the Safari Zone to pick up the HM for Surf and decided to take on Koga, but this is a big level jump up from the last gym. Koga's highest level Pokemon is more than 10 levels higher than Erika's. So I couldn't even beat his second Pokemon Muk most of the time, and even got beaten by his first Pokemon Cuffing. When the Muk goes for Acid Armor, I am of course going to be doing a lot less damage with Struggle. And if it minimizes a lot, I'm not hitting a single one of them, so I knew I just had to grind up here. So I came back at the best level ever, level 69. But even at level 69, my Caterpie still wasn't able to beat this Muk. We just aren't doing enough damage. So I came back at level 74, and once I got to level 74, I was able to get to his last Pokemon Weezing, which means that I'm probably going to be able to do this at this level. And so I eventually was able to struggle my way through Koga, and the only reason that we were actually able to beat Koga is because we had the held item leftovers. If we didn't have those, we probably had to be like level 85 because we didn't have the HP recovery. And now it is time for one of the hardest fights up until this point, the Silph Co rival battle. And the only Pokemon that makes this really hard is this Charizard. Because it has Flamethrower and my Caterpie can't really take a lot of those. In fact, there is only about a 10% chance of my Caterpie surviving a Flamethrower from this Charizard at this level, and Charizard isn't his only threat. He also has Gyarados and Pidgeot, which can give a lot of troubles too. So I was doing this with Tackle and it just wasn't working out, so I went to an Oddish and beat it up until I had no more PP for Tackle and String Shot, which once again allows us to use Struggle. Struggle did about half of his Charizard's health, but it only had about 10% chance of one-shotting with a critical hit. So I knew I needed a couple more levels, and just because I needed to take a couple more hits, I decided to grind up to level 85. At level 85, I have a 100% chance of one-shotting Charizard with a critical hit if I get one. But before this happens, Pidgeot does not need to use Feather Dance. If it uses Feather Dance, I have lost because it lowers my attack by 2 stages and it just loves to use it. And so after a lot of luck and a lot of attempts, my Caterpie was finally able to beat the Silph Co guy without using any items. But if this one Charizard is giving me a lot of trouble, how am I going to be standing up against Blaine's entire fire team? But let's get right into the winning run. I was able to 2-shot Pidgeot without it using Feather Dance, then I critical hit it, the Charizard to take it out in one shot, and the rest of his team, Execute, Alakazam, and Gyarados were all easy pickings for my struggling bug. We went to Don Giovanni, but this was literally my first attempt sweep. We managed to easily take care of his entire team without any problems, and we immediately saved Silph Co to be able to move on to Sabrina's gym. But Sabrina was literally the easiest fight in this entire run because we one-shot her entire team because their defense is just non-existent and my Caterpie is just too buff. So with our 6th gym badge, we head on over to Cinnabar Island, go through the entire mansion to pick up this bald guy's key for his gym, which now means that we have to take on Blaine. Let me know in the comments down below before this battle, do you think Caterpie can beat him? Let's see. Let's find out. Well, the first problem that arises is the ability Intimidate, which 2 of his Pokemon have. Number 1, his first Pokemon Growlithe, and then his last Pokemon Arcanine as well. Which means that my struggle is just going to do less and less damage. But the good thing about this battle is that most of his Pokemon actually use the move Fire Blast, which, as you all know, does not have a high accuracy. So all I really had to do was just wait until all of his Pokemon miss a bunch of Fire Blasts, or my Caterpie just needs to get a lot of critical hits. But of course, a combination of the two is perfect. I can't tell you how many times I have lost to Arcanine, Ponyta, Rapidash. It's just way too many to count. But eventually I got to his final Pokemon Arcanine and critical hit it, but it didn't kill. This definitely did not make me happy, so I decided to grind up Caterpie a couple more levels, all the way up to level 90. But of course, even at level 90, this is not an easy feat to accomplish because they need to miss a lot of Fire Blasts, and I still need to get that critical hit chance on the Arcanine. But after a couple of hours of attempting, my Caterpie finally beat this Arcanine and Blaine without me having to use items. We didn't even have to reach level 100 for this battle. With this 7 gym badge, there was nothing standing in my way to be victorious against the final gym leader Giovanni as well, because I knew if I could beat Blaine, I could definitely beat Giovanni. It wasn't on my first attempt because I got poisoned a couple of times by the poison point ability of Nidoqueen and Nidoking, and after that they could easily finish me off. But only on my third attempt, I was already able to beat Giovanni with just a stick bug. I feel like he should be nerfed. I managed to one-shot his first Pokemon Rhyhorn with a critical hit Struggle. The second one went down after spamming Struggle a couple of times, and eventually also getting a crit. Dugtrio was a one-shot, Nidoqueen a 2-shot, and last up Nidoking also a 2-shot. I was left with a little bit of HP, but I managed to come out on top and grab my last gym badge, which means that we now have to move on to the final rival battle before the Elite Four. But my Caterpie is definitely starting to lose his power level here. We have almost reached a level cap, which means that our stats are not going to increase anymore. And I can see that because we're not doing a lot of damage against this guy's Pidgeot and Charizard. And his Charizard basically has a 100% chance to one-hit KO my Caterpie with a Flamethrower, since I take Struggle recoil damage from killing his first Pokemon, Pidgeot. So this was definitely the battle where I needed to be level 100. But even at level 100, I sadly enough have to say that this battle is not possible to win with only a Caterpie. Because even if I get the highest roll critical hit on this Charizard with Struggle, it is not going to take it out. Which means that he is always going to counter with Flamethrower and one-shot my Caterpie. Since Flamethrower is 100% accurate, there is also no chance of him missing it. So this is where my Caterpie's run, sadly enough, ends. But that doesn't mean we're not going to finish the game. No, we're going to see if there are any battles after this that we might be able to beat without items. So let's drug this bug, sweep through our rivals and entire team, and head on over to the Elite Four, starting off with Lorelei. And at first I thought that this fight might actually be possible because she doesn't really have anything that can hit me very hard, until I came up against her Slowbro. It almost always puts me to sleep with Yawn, and after that just starts spamming Surf in order to take out my Caterpie, and in about 1.5 hours of attempts, I was never able to get past this thing. And even if I beat this Slowbro, she still has a Jinx and a Lapras I need to get past, so I don't think Lorelei is going to be possible without using any items. Her team is just too bulky in the physical defense department, and my Caterpie can't take enough hits, even with leftovers on. So let's once again drug up our Caterpie and kill Lorelei. After destroying her with my little Caterpillar, I went on over to the second and always most easiest Elite Four member, Bruno. So let's see if Caterpie can beat him without using items. At first I just got walled by his Machamp, but eventually I figured out that if I could beat this Machamp, it's probably possible to beat him without items. All I needed was a couple of critical hits and a couple of misses on his behalf. Eventually I did get past Machamp, and then the Onix was able to take me out in the end, but if I got to his last Pokemon Onix, this was definitely going to be possible. So after about half an hour of attempting, I was able to beat this man with a lot of struggling. We were able to easily take care of his first two Pokemon Onix and Hitmonchan without taking that much damage, but then we got the amazing critical hit on his Machamp, which took him out after my second struggle. And my Caterpie was then able to take on the Hitmonlee as well with 2 struggles, and the Onix with 3 of them. So Bruno is that weak that it even loses to a Caterpie with no items. This just takes him to a whole other level. But this does make it possible for us to go up to Agatha. And you can guess how this went. Not too well. We got hit very hard by her Golbat, and even if we would get past her Golbat, which we can't even kill with a critical hit struggle, we still have a lot more Pokemon to face, like Arbok, Haunter, and another Gengar. After I kill Golbat, she always goes into Arbok, which has Intimidate, so my attack is lowered, and that means that I cannot 1- or 2-shot her Gengar and Haunter after that. And her Pokemon just do way too much damage for my little Caterpillar, so this once again is a battle that is not possible to win. Without items, that is, of course. We're just going to soup up our Wurmple with a bunch of performance drugs like X attacks. And with these, we can easily beat up this old woman without any problems. So let's move on over to Lance the Dragon Master. And yeah, do I even have to explain why this is not possible to beat Lance without items? He has a Gyarados with Intimidate as his first Pokemon, so my struggle is doing barely anything. Besides that, the Gyarados is basically impossible to beat already, and even if I beat the Gyarados, there is an Aerodactyl waiting for me with moves that are super effective on me. So yeah, Lance is definitely not possible with a Caterpie with no items. So let's just use a bunch of items, one-shot all of Lance's Pokemon, and move on over to the final battle with a champion. And again, yes, this is just not going to be possible. I even tried this battle a couple of times with items, and I still got destroyed because he kept on getting critical hits with all of his Pokemon, which just one-shots my Caterpie. And his first Pokemon, Pidgeot, also has Feather Dance, so it's really hard to set up X attacks on him. And his second Pokemon is always going to be Rhydon, and if I want to set up X attacks on him, he's almost always going to lower my speed with Scary Face, which means that if I get to Charizard, he's going to outspeed and kill me with Fire Blast. So even with items, this fight is kind of a pain. I even lost a couple of times because of the struggle recoil damage here. But eventually though, I was able to put all of my vitamins into my little worm. That just sounds so wrong. So I proceeded to one-shot his first Pokemon, Pidgeot, then go into Rhydon and set up some X speeds, and then also one-shot him, then struggle the Charizard, struggle the Alakazam, and Exeggutor and Gyarados also go down rather quickly. And with all of these Pokemon out of the way, we can finally crown our little worm as the champion of the Kanto region. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was definitely a lot of fun to make because I just love crushing powerful opponents with a little Caterpillar. So did you think that Caterpie was going to be able to get this far? I honestly thought that he was going to get walled by Blaine, but he's stronger than he looks. A lot stronger. So I hope you guys have now learned that you should never miss with the Caterpillar. As always, let me know in the comments down below what you want me to do next. And I also just want to thank my membership and Patreon supporters. As always, they really do help me out. So if you want to help me too, you can sign up by clicking the link in the description. It is always appreciated. And with that out of the way, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. My name is Wigo, and I will see you guys next time.